Hi, everyone. Welcome to another book launch meet hosted by Clever Fox. Can we have all the videos on, the author's video on? I think Mahima and Vidwat have to join, right? I can see Mahima and is Vidwat here? Okay. Welcome, everyone. I'm Sumita, project manager at Clever Fox Publishing, and welcome to a book launch session hosted by Clever Fox. And we're very happy to talk to the author of the book, Teardrops in the Blue Room, Vidwat Shetty. He's here with us, and it's a great pleasure for me to host this session with all of you. We also have two eminent personalities in their respective fields, Mr. Venkatraman and Ms. Preeta, who will also be speaking today. Both of them will be sharing their thoughts with us today. And so, yes, let's get on with it. Before we proceed, a few words about Vidwat.
Oops, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Vidwat's educational qualifications include an LLB law degree, honors from Birmingham City University, and a master's in multimedia journalism from the University of Westminster. His career portfolio boasts over 7 years as a newspaper feature writer, magazine deputy editor, television scriptwriter, and web journalist, respectively. In 2015, he was diagnosed with Asperger syndrome, commonly known as Autism Spectrum Disorder Level 1. And he spent several years researching the subject in vigorous preparation for writing a mental health memoir. After encountering various problems with the said publication, he then reinvented the project as a screenplay centered on Asperger's, which would become the subject of the proposal. His upcoming screenplay projects include a 60s musical, an animated film trilogy, and a romantic comedy film series. That is so interesting, Vidwat. It is wonderful to have you here with us.
Thank
And
you. Lovely to be here.
What a range of topics that you have touched on and write, and you are so talented. It's really nice for us to interact with you. So
Very kind of you to say.
So before I hand over the session to you for you to say a few things about the book that you've written recently, let's have a look at the video trailer of your book. Shall we do that? Can we please have the video trailer? We're just setting it up. It should play any moment now. This will give us a good idea what the book is all about.
Ma'am, can you please continue with that video? I will just download it, okay?
Sure, Pavan, sure. So I would like you to share a few words about yourself and also a little bit about the book. I know readers are going to read it and find out more exactly what it's about, but just so you give them an idea what prompted you to write it and what it's all about.
Well, I think we'd touched on the fact that I received an autism spectrum disorder diagnosis when I was 34. And I immediately decided that I had literally just finished my multimedia journalism master's, and I decided that I wanted to write a book, a non-fiction book about autism. And so I spent a considerable amount of time researching autism and mental health. And I got started on the nonfiction book, but I was struggling to finish the final draft. So that was when I reinvented the project as a feature film screenplay. And I created this completely new identity and set of characters. And I found that this was a much more coherent way of me articulating my ideas and my thoughts about autism spectrum disorder, Asperger's. I'll just say at this point, I mean, throughout my study of autism spectrum disorder, there has been this thing: is it autism spectrum disorder? Is it Asperger's? In certain territories, they don't use Asperger's now. They say ASD level 1, but I most frequently refer to it as ASD. And so after I'd finished writing the screenplay, analyzing the story, I found that the story had I felt the story contained the elements of a successful novel, such as a literary exposition, rising action, a crisis, or in the case of this book, several crises, an effective climax. And so that was at that point I decided that I wanted to adapt the screenplay into a novel. And that was quite an interesting process, because it's usually the other way around. If a work of fiction generates interest,
that's true. That is true.
Into a screenplay, but this was a complete opposite way around. So it was a funny way of doing things, but I enjoyed the entire process. And Teardrops.
That's very, very interesting for us to know the genesis of how the work came about. And it's also very heartening to know that, what you faced in life, you channelized into your creativity, and that is just absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Thank you,
so Pavan, is the video trailer ready?
Ma'am, can you please do it without video play?
Okay, all right, okay.
There is some error in that.
All right, no problem.
Okay.
We have we will continue the wonderful conversation that we're having. We have two special guest speakers today, and I would like to introduce the first among them. This is Mr. Venkatraman. He's a technology and business professional with diverse experience across software development, strategy, consultancy, business development, and alliances. He has performed global leadership roles across IBM, NASCOM, and now Sona Group. Currently, he's the Senior Vice President and Head responsible for IT strategy, IT business, and digital transformation at V Technologies and Group companies. He's also Senior Vice President and Head of Hire Me and Meta iTechnologies. Mr. Venkat has been a founding member of one-of-a-kind National Digital Skilling Initiative, Future Skills Prime. He was part of the advisory board of Karnataka Digital Economy Mission, And he's also an advisor to Generation India, a non-profit founded by McKinsey and Company in 2014. He's engaged with the India Leadership Think Tank, and he's extremely passionate about people transformation as a mind coach and motivational speaker. And he was recently awarded SMB CTO CIO of the Year by Lenovo and Economic Times. It's a great pleasure to have you with us, Mr. Venkatraman.
Thank you so much. Pleasure is all mine.
Yes, this session is all yours. We'd love to hear what you have to say today.
Actually, I'm a little overwhelmed looking at the audience here. Vidvat, again, true to his name. Vidvat means highly qualified or most brilliant. I think it's true to his name as well. And while I'm yet to really understand about this book, what it is all about, while you were reading out my introduction, people might be wondering, what am I doing here in this group? One of the reasons probably why Mahima invited me is I do have a passion in this area. And like the way Vidvat was mentioning, my dad actually had a brain hemorrhage in 2010. And he was an absolutely fit person, and all of a sudden this happened, and the world just turned upside down in a moment. And that is when, by God's grace, somebody introduced me to this concept of how the mind really works. And I started doing a lot of research on how mind can actually help heal as well, and how mind also causes some of the ailments that we have. So, of course, I don't have any certificates, but just through my own learning and experimentation and working with people that I've worked with or my family members, I was able to trace why certain things happen, what kind of thought patterns you carry and how it impacts your life. And while my dad, because he had lost his memory and he was like a second kid to me for 4 years, thankfully he survived for 4 years because doctor did not expect him to survive for even 48 hours. But he survived for 4 years, and I had the privilege of taking care of him, spending time with him before he left us. But that actually taught a lot to me and my family as well. And that is when all these learning, I was able to help quite a few people. And it started off with my own wife, who was diagnosed with thyroid. And if you go to the physician, they would say the person needs to be in allotoxin for life. And it was during the conversation, I was able to identify what was the cause of that. And of course, credit to her because she was open in sharing and taking those actions as well. Within a week's time, when we did the test, the results were normal. So doctors couldn't believe. They said probably the lab is not right. Go to another lab. She did that, and it's been many years now. It is just normal, right? And that gave me the sort of the faith that okay, this really works. And I started helping people, right? So, and this is just as a passion I do out of the free time that I get. My wife keep cribbing that my weekends also you're taking my time, but I can't see somebody going through this. So, whatever extent I can help, of course, it depends on the other person. If the person is coachable, if yes, I just go beyond and help them. So there are quite a few people who've had cancer, thyroid, asthma for years together, and they've been out of it. Right. So that's the power of the mind, nothing about me. That's how it is engineered. So it's just about knowing that while there are a lot of people who say this is one object for which we don't have a user manual. And I think it's very hard to create one, but it's all about understanding and making the most out of it.
And
so, and in the corporate,
don't realize our strength within, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even in the corporate world, that has helped me immensely because when I work with a lot of my teams, even when I was heading the sales at IBM, I could see certain people were not performing to their potential. And for any other leader or a manager, they would say, okay, put them on a performance improvement process. And if they're not improving, just send them out, right? It's not their cup of tea. But for me, because I had gone through this, I was able to connect with them at a personal level, understand why they are behaving or why they're doing in a certain way. And it was really surprising in a couple of cases when we understood what they went through. The way I related to that person, the way I could work with that person was completely different, right? So, and I strongly encourage people in the corporate world as well that mind is something very critical. Connect with individuals, right? Don't just treat them as a colleague, as somebody who is here to deliver some task for you, right? You probably spend more time with them than your own family members, right? So if you really treat them that way, take care of them, results are just an outcome, right? So it's just about how we treat people, how we nurture them. And nurturing, when I say, it's all about making them believe in themselves. So that's something which I'm very passionate about. And I think it's all the universe got all this together. Even this opportunity that I have, I should thank my stars for being here. I'm not sure if I'm the fit person here, but definitely I'm looking forward to learning from each one of you. And when I was in IBM, this was about 15 years back, there were a few delegates from the US, and I overheard a conversation and where they were saying that, you know what, in India, there are a lot of managers. They can get the job done, but they're not good leaders. India cannot have leaders. At that point in time, that moment, right, it just occurred to my mind saying that, okay, I should actually develop a lot of leaders. And of course, it motivated me to become a good leader, first of all. And that is how universe got me into this, the India Leadership Think Tank, the group that I was part of, I'm still part of. We were able to really nurture, transform a lot of people, produce a lot of leaders, not just at a national, but international level as well. So, and this is something which is evolving, right? So I'm looking forward to learning from each one of you, and with what a fabulous job, and looking forward to learning from you, and of course, go through the book as well. And would be my pleasure to really endorse and popularize this within my network as well. So all the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Venkat, for that very insightful words. Yes, I think we just don't understand the power of the mind, and we think a lot of things are, you know, not within our control, but some of it is. There are things which we may not be able to control, but a lot of it is. It's the way we view things. It's our attitude. It's also how we harness that energy and let it all flow in the right direction. So thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Pleasure.
We have another very wonderful speaker with us. She's Preeta, and I would like to, it's my pleasure to introduce her. Preeta is a wholeness coach. It has such a lovely sound to it, you know. So Preeta believes that suffering is a choice and you can choose to not suffer. So she teaches and trains people to pause and change their gaze from being a victim to a victor. So as a wholeness coach, she handholds you to experience harmony, show you the way to be fearless, and empower you with self-love. And that's, I think, very, very important in this world. She has had a wonderful journey, and she believes that in a road where only love remains, no fear, no mistrust, and no expectations. So as a sound healing journey facilitator, Preeta has conducted over 250 individual and group sound healing journeys, both in person and virtually. She was also a part of the team at the all-night Kong Bath sessions at the International Yoga Festival 2020 at Rishikesh, attended by over 200 people, and at Gurgaon, attended by 100 people, where gongs were played for 450 minutes non-stop. It's absolutely wonderful to have you with us, Preeta. And if I may request you to say a few words on this lovely occasion where we are celebrating Vidwat's release of Vidwat's book and his creativity.
Thank you so much. And exactly like how Venkat said, even I'm feeling not only overwhelmed, but very inadequate, because I am no expert in the autism spectrum disorder. I work with emotional states because I have gone in my own personal life. I experienced some very dark moments when the advice from your near and dear ones is go and see a psychiatrist or go and see a psychologist. But as luck would have it, I fortunately was directed or I was fortunate enough to find people who, through the use of energy, when I say energy, I mean the energy body that we have, so we, in the Vedic ways of looking at life, we say that we have 5 sheets.
Mhm.
The physical sheet is there, which is we are very well aware of. Then we have the mental and the energetic layers. So I got introduced to that, which is commonly known as alternative. But in my way of looking at life, actually, it's not alternative, it's complementary. It has to go hand in hand with everything else that we do, including allopathy. So when there's a condition like Asperger's or any other condition which is mind related, the way I understand it is that there has been some sort of short circuiting in the system, because of which, things are not working as would we think normal. And of course, there are ways of technical ways or allopathic ways of treating the condition. But I believe a lot in other ways, like through my own power. Like Venkat rightly said, the mind is very powerful. I have a slight difference in approach because I don't really like to work too much with the mind. In fact, I got introduced to some spiritual philosophies, which for me were eye-opening because they told me I don't really have to control the mind.
Okay.
Like one of the masters that I follow, he says, let the mind be noisy.
Mhm.
You're not the mind. Why does it bother you? Now, of course, it's easier said and easier, than it's done, because we are so identified with the mind that when something happens to trouble us, we say we are agitated, or we have anxiety, or we have anger. We become one with the emotion. In the work that I do with people, my work is to bring them to a sense of awareness that while this anger or this agitation is in the mind, also in the body, but there is the ability in us to step a little back and watch it, become the observer. So like in the Vedic way, this is Sakshi Bhav, power of being observant of what is happening in your mind and in your body. So my understanding of this field is that, and I work with a lot of people who are suffering from anxiety, fear, loneliness, separation issues, abandonment issues. And I don't work with the mind. I tell them, if the mind is saying that you're sad, you're depressed, you're angry, let it be. Let's see if we can shift our gaze somewhere else, which is not the mind. Now, people who are rational and who are, used to being logical, take a little time, because the mind, the way I give an analogy is, if life is a vehicle and I'm the passenger in it, I have given the mind not only the car, the keys to the car, but also the power to choose the route and destination. I'm just a passenger sitting in this vehicle, which the mind is driving me whichever direction, however he or she wants to take me. And when I become aware of my power, that I can take this responsibility in my own awareness, then the mind becomes the driver, in the sense that I give the keys to the driver and I tell the driver, I want to go here and this is the route I want you to take. Now, this process of shifting the mind from being the complete decider of my fate to becoming a servant, a person,
Becoming more self-aware.
Yeah. So the more aware I am, obviously initially the mind is going to protest because the mind is used to being in power. And now you're trying to take away some of the power and tell the mind, no, you listen to me. Now, who is this me which is going to order? Because initially we don't even have a separation of that. We don't think we are anything different from the mind. So to come back to the book and the condition that is being mentioned in the book, I haven't read the book. I went through it very briefly, through the PDF that was shared with me. But the way I understand it is that what we consider normal and so everything else is not normal,
Correct.
is actually a label we have to get past. Because we have said that, okay, this is right and this is not right. But actually everything is on a spectrum. Everything is polarized. So like we have night, we have day, we have dark, we have light. I mean, everything is, there are two ends to it. And we are somewhere in the middle.
Right.
So even when we consider ourselves normal, I don't know what the definition of normal is actually. It might be that we are the ones who are not normal.
Absolutely.
You know,
what you said resonates, I think, with all of us. Yes, it's so true that, you know, we the yardstick that we assign to everybody or everything around us is, it's basically the conditioning that we've all sort of, you know, grown up with.
Yeah. So I mean, I really like Venkat's point about being a people's manager.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I mean, just the other day we were having a conversation on how do we deal with elders, how people are aging, and how do we deal with them, especially at the workplace with employees who have elderly parents, aging parents. And everywhere it boils down to, we just have to be more human, more humane. So it's not something like, you know, I can't give you a solution that, okay, now from this day you start doing this. It's a way of connecting all the time. So whether it's a condition like ADHD or Asperger's or anything, or it's the fear of aging, or it's Alzheimer's, we have to show up with complete love and acceptance of whatever is. And again, having said that, it's obviously easier said because we haven't been taught how to do this. So we need to start learning this as early as possible. How can I be unconditionally accepting? Like I remember in early days, I would say that, oh, I mean, because I'm so judgmental, so I should stop judging. So I would say, okay, I like everybody in my head, and I love a few of them, you know. But the deeper I went into my spiritual studies, it switched, because what I was told was, and what I understood was, the love has to be unconditional. I just have to love everything and everyone just because they are.
They are, yes.
That's the only point. You can like a few because obviously there is some affinity. But how can we be conditional about loving what has been created by the same creator who has created me and everything else that, you know, is in my life? So yeah, so I think we need to become more accepting.
Yes, that's really nice. So it's lovely to have you here, Preeta, today, and sharing your experiences and shedding light on you know, the various your journey, and as well as what you have a hope for Vidwat's journey forward as well. And I think
can I just add one small point?
Sure, ma'am. Sure, you can.
So one thing which is very mysterious and extremely powerful, and I'm a practitioner of that, is sound healing. Like, so you mentioned the gong bath and, you know, sound healing journeys that I conduct. I know that sound can heal all kinds of conditions.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I require is an open mind. Open mind to allow sound to do its work. So, I mean, I've seen magic happening with sound healing sessions. So I would suggest that whether it's Vidwat or anybody else who's watching this or reading the book later on, should explore sound as a daily care practice, basically. It's not even that something you have to go specially to do it. Once in a while, of course, one goes to a specialist. But otherwise, just understanding that sound is all around us. And we have the power to do the humming. Humming is a powerful vibration. So, you know, if we just include humming in our daily practice, you will find that a lot of what I said in the beginning, short circuiting, comes together. That short circuiting
it's a very grounding, rooted kind of sound.
Yeah.
That sort of, yeah. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
I think we have time just enough to play the trailer, Vidwat. So let's have a look at the wonderful trailer of your book. Pavan? That just looks so, it's waiting for, for all of you to pick up the book and read and find out what happens and understand what the protagonist goes through and what Vidwat is sharing with the world, his story and his journey through life. So thank you all for being here, and where we are out of time, and it was wonderful to talk to all of you, and it's something that we could, I think, go on and on, but we do have to come to the end of the session today. And Vidwat, we wish you all the luck and joy and in the world, and look forward to many more books, feature films, screenplays, all of that from you.
Thank you, Sumita. That's very kind of you.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.